following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Listening to The Adventure and Pipeman on W4HC Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
Yo! Happy Monday, Motivational Monday, and I decided today on the Adventures of Pipeman here on W4CY Radio that, people are jerk-offs, animals are where it's at. So today's all about the fur babies because that's where it's at, and we have the most renowned expert that I know on fur babies, and I've known him for many years. He was on the network at the very beginning, okay, and he has been a guest on this show all 18 seasons of the Adventures of Pipeman, and I'm telling you, you need to be here right now because he has some advice for your pets that is for your family too, because he is the pet health guru, and he also is the owner of My Paleo Pet. He is also the owner of BioComplete. We'll talk about that stuff during the show. He is also the host and the pet health guru on the show Pet Health Café on our health and wellness network, which is W4HC Radio, the Health Cafe Live. And so with no further ado, we're going to bring on the Pipe Nuts and the Pet Health Guru.
Welcome. I'm glad
Hello.
to be here, Dean.
Hello, Bill. So
Yes, and I recognize a couple other people on here. How you doing?
okay, yeah. So we're gonna have a contest right off the bat, Bill.
Okay.
So we talk about the Louisiana education system a lot. We've been talking about the Florida education system, and so we're gonna have both Studio Nut, which is Juan, and Swamp Nut, which is Rebel, pronounce your last name, and whoever does it correctly is the winner of the education system for the state, their state. Who wants to go first, Rebel or Juan?
Ladies
Juan.
first.
Nope. I said you first.
I am a gentleman, okay?
No,
Ladies
I'm
first.
Good. I'm good. No need for chivalry. You can go
It
first.
sounds to me like neither one of you know how to pronounce it.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead first because she's afraid she's gonna
And
be wrong.
don't say yes or no, Bill. Let's see what they both do. Okay.
Okay,
And
this is
Rebel's
probably
known
gonna-
you a long time, so there's a lot of pressure on her right now. Okay. Go ahead, Juan.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and guess Peachoki.
I can't tell you if it's close, not good. I can tell you that it's Rebel's turn.
Guru.
Smart answer, but that causes disqualification if that's going to be your final answer.
My final answer. I get disqualified.
Come on, give us your final answer. Come on, you can do it. Louisiana education. Let's do it.
Pachoki.
Okay, Bill, you are the judge.
It is Pachaki.
Dun, dun, dun. So
But it gets translated a lot of different ways.
they're both non-winners.
Yes.
Oh, darn.
But
I
now
have the guru part,
they
right?
both know, so there should never ever be another problem.
See, you have to call them non-winners because kind of like the same reason you have to say unalive. If you say loser now on a show, the AI picks it up in my parody opinion and total satire that it picks it up and thinks it's, being offensive, and then you're in trouble.
You get canceled by a non-human.
What'd you say, Rebel?
Pick up your participation trophy over there. My God,
well,
losers.
When it comes to education, Rebel, people in your state get a lot of participation trophies. That's all I gotta say.
No.
But here in Florida, we have the Pet Health Guru. So 3 of us are in Florida and 1 in Louisiana. What's wrong with this picture? Okay, Bill, tell us about the Pet Health Guru.
Well, the name got tucked on me about 18 years ago by yours truly. You labeled me that, and it's stuck ever since. Basically, when we started the show, the Pet Health Cafe was a place where you could sit down and pour yourself a cold one, a cup of coffee or whatever, and listen to some good advice. And that's how the whole thing started. And it's been just going since then.
And also people, if you go back in the catalog to the old days when he did like a 2-hour show, I can tell you that he walks his talk, because listen, you got to go back to those shows and listen to his second hour when it starts getting more interesting and funny, because, the Pet Health Cafe is a couple drinks in.
That's right. I would get into my rants at that point in time. That's when the political stuff started coming in.
Speaking of rants, what would you say right now is your biggest rant as it pertains to pet health?
Basically, the stupid regulations around foods themselves. They essentially, if it's fed to your animal, it's classified now as feed. And feed means not fit for human consumption. So when we're putting things out now, we actually have to label all of our meats not for human consumption unless they're packaged off premises. Now, the interesting thing is I can take a steak out of my people freezer that we do all the grass-finished stuff down here in Florida, and healthiest food you could absolutely get for yourself. But if I move that steak to my pet food freezer, I have to label that not for human consumption. And once you do that, they can put anything into it that they want. So when you see all these companies advertising, human grade, there is no such thing according to the Department of Agriculture as far as animals are concerned. And, then when we start looking at it, even if they say made with human consumption, when you look at just beef, for instance, there's like 20 different grades of beef. Everything from, of course, good Wagyu steak, grass-finished beef, all the way down to what's known as industrial meat, which is generally speaking old dairy cattle, 10, 12 years old, that all they do is make ground beef with it because they've been shot up with hormones and antibiotics and steroids their whole life. And that's what they sell basically to the prison system, retirement homes. And of course, a lot of that goes overseas as well. But it's not something that I don't think any of us on here would ever want to eat.
I also have to say, okay, you were saying this, and now I'm a little bummed because now that eggs are so expensive, I was buying some pet food for snacks, and now you're saying that was not fit for human consumption.
Probably not. Although our bodies are quite adaptable. I mean, we put a lot of garbage into them sometimes, and we survive. I don't know how. We do survive.
I don't know how people in Louisiana survive the way they eat. I got to tell you.
We eat good down here, baby. We eat good.
Yeah, good for, a short lifespan, maybe.
My grandpa lived till 90, almost 91 years old. That ain't too short of a lifespan.
Actually, that's a pretty good point, Rebel, though. Seriously, it's like weird. You could live in places that they say, their diet is very unhealthy, and yet they live a long time. Like France, they drink a lot of wine, and they eat a lot of bread, and they eat a lot of red meat, and they eat a lot of cheese, and they don't have cholesterol problems.
So maybe it's people who don't know about nutrition saying this stuff. You remember that pyramid that's been this way, this way, this way, and all of that stuff because they told us this is how you're supposed to eat? Maybe they were just putting it towards, pumping up the whoever was at the top of the pyramid at the time.
Well, it holds true for pets too, doesn't it, Bill?
Absolutely. That chart was originally designed by the government, so you can trust it, obviously.
Not
as a marketing tool, because they wanted every segment of agriculture represented, but they also were this is where they were putting their subsidy money, because they were trying to control us all. And that's where the problem lies.
Yep.
And be careful, Rebel, because we are live on the air and the government is listening while we're talking about what they're doing that they don't want anybody to know. And so so whatever Rebel says is for satire purposes only.
Sure.
Of course.
Let's stick to that story.
No, the whole regulation thing is where the problem is. I mean, you can go out and buy, any kind of fast food you want with 9,000 chemicals in it, and yet you cannot buy raw milk, cow's milk, for your family. Because It's so dangerous. And the funny thing about that is from 1914 to 1918. The number one prescription that was written by MDs for all kinds of problems, everything from prostate problems, eczema and seborrhea, seizuring, heart problems, was whole raw milk. And then we discovered that we could make the CDC and give us all the rules behind it.
So here's a question then. Okay, so for all the pet owners out there, what is like the biggest misconception that is causing them to maybe not feed their pets properly to give them the longest, happiest life?
It's just been propaganda. I mean, that's all it is. Convenience, kibble started in 1955. It didn't really take off until basically, the late 60s, early 70s. And when, a couple of big companies got involved in it, making all these boutique brands and these so-called prescription brands and then enlisted, of course, the medical community on the animal side that said, this is what you have to do. And we've been brainwashed into thinking that, if you have any kind of health issue, or if you want to just live a healthier life, you have to consult with somebody wearing a white jacket. And has a bunch of freaking letters after their name.
I have a question then. Okay, so I travel all over the world. The only place in the whole world that kibble was kind of a good thing was in Bali when the Lompoc, or I think that's the name of it. It's something like that. It's an animal. Poops out a piece of kibble, and that kibble has the coffee inside.
Oh, it's a cat.
Okay.
Yes.
No, it's not that. It's not a cat. No, there's a special animal. I'm telling you, in Bali and Indonesia.
Yeah.
But okay, so the thing is really I don't know. Traveling the whole world, I haven't seen any animals in the wild looking for kibble. Okay, no, and that's number one. Number two, I have seen lots of animals given kibble and then sit there and look at their bowl and then look at you and beg for your food. I also have noticed that when I go all over the world that I haven't seen any animals in white coats. I would assume that the animals, the white coat people that you would want to trust is the other animals, because they know it's kind of like and out in the wild, you're not just going to have some random veterinarian sitting in the middle of the forest. So I haven't seen any of, like, none of their animals grow up to be veterinarians. Why is that?
I've said for years and years and years in both the stores and on the radio here and on TV, and that I've never run into a pack of wolves or a pride of lions at, any of the vitamin stores. They just seem to not need vitamins, I guess. And it's funny, even in the store, when I tell people that, some of them are like, well, Bill, we've been feeding you real food, raw diets for 6 months now, 8 months now. Where do they get the nutrients? And I just look at them and, is your animal alive? Obviously, it's in the food. They don't even realize that their food is supposed to be nutritious. But then again, they're the same people that don't believe in chemtrails either.
Well, listen.
What do they think those things are? You can't miss them. They're right up there in the sky.
Oh, those are just clouds. That's nature.
Uh-huh.
That's actually my fur baby that passed away, Rebel. So please don't make fun.
Not making fun of any baby.
She probably passed away from the chemtrails.
They have a lot to do with it, because stop and think, we're breathing it in. They're walking in it with their feet and absorbing it through their skin as well, along with eating and drinking. And, right now, we're seeing more and more problems with wildlife the same way, because they're eating, things like deer and, other wildlife. They're going into the crop fields with all the GMO and all the glyphosate and all the synthetic chemicals that are sprayed in the crops. So even going out and hunting for your food now isn't really very clean anymore.
Well, that's what I want to know is, okay, so back in the day, when you make the world great again, back when you were a caveman, okay, so I don't know, they seem to be okay just out there in the wild eating off the land.
Yeah. Actually, when they talk about, the life expectancy of humans increasing, and of course, we're seeing a great decrease in animal lifespans. But when they looked at the statistics, actually in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, that number was extremely skewed because the kids were out doing the work. They were in the field, they were in the factories, and more kids died from accidents that didn't make it to a long life. And that's really screwed up the whole thing. And of course, now...
Is that why now my granddaughter has to play a helmet to play softball?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I go out there and skateboard, rollerblade. I was ice skating for hours the other day. No helmet, no pads, no nothing. You know what? You fly in your butt, you fly in your butt.
That's absolutely.
Excuse me. We just want to tell everybody on the show to make sure to turn the ringer off on all cell phones, jewelry, unless you want to answer it live on the air like I do. Then that's a different story.
90% of it is spam. You know that.
So I have a testimonial, and that testimonial is April. So I met the Pet Health Guru many, many years ago, and I changed my pug's diet. And my pug never had to go to the vet her whole life. You hear me, folks? Never paid one vet bill ever. And she died of old age.
And what is old age these days for animals?
It depends. If you talk to the Pet Health Guru, I've worked with dogs as much as 30 years old. The average animal hospital will tell you that if your dog makes it to 8 or 9, you're doing good. And if it's 14 or 15, that's unheard of. And it's just remarkable that all these animals, basically, they're not dying from cancer, although dogs are the number one cancer animal now in the world. But they're actually dying from poisoning because of all the food additives, all the medications, the preventions. I had to watch what I said there because we don't want to get knocked off again. But yeah, all these things that are just being dumped upon the animals to such a degree that it's poisoning. And in fact, we had a case here about 2 months ago with a dog that, in my estimation, was obviously got into some sort of toxin, some sort of poison. Veterinarians, after a month, using every technique possible, $30,000 worth of testing, x-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, the whole thing, came up with no diagnosis, but not once did they ever mention or look at poisoning as a possible cause of that animal's demise.
It's too big a business to do that.
Yeah, well, they sell the poison. That's why they don't talk about it.
It's like, I don't get it. It just seems like it's bigger business because they prey on the emotions. Hi, back there. They prey on the emotions of us, and that's one of the things I like. Even putting a pet down, the ridiculous amount of money that they charge people for that, I don't know, that you shouldn't have to pay for that.
No, and the funny thing is that that's actually a treatment plan for a lot of our pets. The vet doesn't have a clue. Well, he's 8 years old. Let's just go ahead and put him to sleep. Obviously, we don't want him to suffer. Why is he suffering? Well, you give him kibble and bad food and shoot him up with all kinds of drugs, and I'd be miserable too.
So do you mean that pets aren't running around like dogs, especially, and singing kibbles and bits, kibbles and bits? Gotta get me some kibbles and bits.
Yeah, they do that all the time. It's like what is it? There's a new supplement out where again it's rough.
Oh, I thought that was a cereal commercial for us. They're great.
It was. And of course, the same companies that made those rotten cereals are the same people that made the original kibble.
And cereals in and of themselves are terrible for humans. And see, you know what it is? It's humans being lazy. And if you're going to be lazy, don't have a pet, don't have kids.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, and as part of our ongoing message now is, all these people are all going out and doing, rescue. Well, if you take a dog or a cat from a so-called rescue and you can't afford the care, the good food, then you haven't rescued them at all.
No.
It's amazing. They never have money for a good diet, but they always have money for that visit to the emergency room. Which is always big dollars now.
I got a question that just popped in my mind, though, based on what you're saying. How many people out there value higher buying their pet a sweater than good food?
It's amazing the amount of clothing and all that other garbage. And, I was thinking about a week ago or so, just on the behavior side of the animal industry. Why is it that we buy our dogs all these stuffed toys, stuff with good things like polyester and, rayon and all the petrochemicals to make them, and they destroy them right away and you throw them out? Does that animal know something that we don't, that it's destroying it to get it out of the house?
Whoa, what a point. Man, I didn't even think of that.
Their dog beds the same way. They destroy them all. They don't destroy anything else.
Juan, do you have a pet?
I do not, but I do know that, animals in general have to have, like they seem to have this sense about them that they know when something is good and when something is not. For example, like they'll smell the food before they eat it, and if it's not good, they won't eat it. They will just ignore it and just walk away from it. even if we think it's something that they might want to eat.
And you got to be worried when they do that too. And so, Rebel, did you lock up your cat in the room so she couldn't rat you out on the show to the Pet Health Guru?
First of all, I don't own a cat. That cat that you see video bombing a lot, that is one of the cats from Animal Actors 2 doors down, in the same building 2 doors down.
Wait, you're an animal actor?
Animal Actors 2 doors down to the left if you walk in the building. That is Nico Kelly. Nico is a handful, but I do know that.
Is he the drummer of the Cat Iron Maiden?
I don't think we have a Cat Iron Maiden here. I hope not anyway. But no, he's a handful. He likes to come in and take my props. Like, I had a stuffed animal in here. He took it. He drug it down the.
Well, he
saying
needed to be out of the studio.
So what you're saying is that he likes when you give him props?
No, he texts them. He likes the video bomb because he knows that fans send him presents.
So he's not here today because he's going to rat you out that you may not give him real food for pets.
I do give my.
I mean, Rebel, give your pet a voice, will you?
Oh, my dog has a voice. I have a dog, and he has a voice, and he is a very big fan of the Spirulella. What's the green one?
Go ahead, Pet Health Cafe.
A fan of which?
Spirulella, the green one.
Spirulina.
That.
The spirulina.
He likes the spirulina. He likes the liver and kidney
blend.
Yes. And he likes is the liver and kidney gray or yellow?
That's a gray one.
Okay, what's the yellow one? He likes the one for pets.
Yeah, the heartworm parasite. Yeah,
he loves that.
Yeah, they know. You can't give them a pill of medicine because they will bite your arm off, because they can sense the difference between herbs and botanicals, which are foods, and chemical compositions, if you will, that we call medicine. You know, there's and this is something that, for people as well to understand, that every medication that's been approved by the FDA for sale, whether it's over the counter or whether it's by prescription only, or even in hospital use only, all of them have 4 side effects. And those 4 side effects are kidney failure, liver failure, seizures, and death. Even that cough medicine has death as one of its side effects. Now,
wow.
Anybody want any of those side effects?
I don't think so. Oh, that made me think of something though, because I got into an argument with somebody recently.
You get into arguments a lot.
Nowadays, sure do.
So
okay.
Arguments with me may include side effects of.
Yeah. So here's the side effect. Okay. Now, seriously, these idiots out there that are stoners and get their dog or cat high and think it's funny. Now, I got an argument because somebody was actually posting that on Facebook. I'm like, you do realize I can kill your dog, right? And they were like, no, it can't. It comes from the dispensary. It's legal.
Okay.
So I want to hear your take on that, Pet Health Guru.
It's
medicinal. They're medicating their dog.
Yeah, and they even take that a little bit further. When you look at what they're doing, these are all man-made strains of the plant. So if you want to go back to the basics, okay, hemp is natural, hemp is safe because of that. Maybe 1,000 years ago. But today, because of agriculture, just like our corn products, they're basically insecticidal products now, because we have manipulated the genes actually to produce certain effects. And of course, the other part of that is your animal can't tell you what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
You're going to see the outward stuff, but I remark about this a lot. When an animal has to go in for a procedure or something of that nature, and of course, post-operation, post-surgery, they prescribe painkillers. Okay, some of them very, very strong and powerful. And okay, so you get a 2-week supply for your animal, and at the end of 2 weeks, you stop. Anybody ever been on painkillers and have to stop cold turkey? We don't do it to people, we do it to our pets.
Yeah, that's why I never ever take a painkiller. I don't care what one it is. I never have. Screw that crap. I also have to say, going back to like traveling around the world, okay, I've never been out in the wild and seen like a couple dogs just hanging out smoking a joint, unless I was stoned. Then I saw that. Okay, but otherwise,
you can see a lot of things at that point.
right? But otherwise, I just have never seen that before. Like, that's something I want to talk about too, because it's like, give your pet a voice and give your pet a choice. Blowing stuff like that in their face to get them high for your amusement is not cool, in my opinion. What do you think, Pet Health Guru?
Oh, it's absolutely not. I mean, first off, even for us, that's a horrible way to put it into your body, just because it's not not like a natural air product, but of course that's gone too with the chemtrails and industry and everything else for the last 100 or so years. But it's just like different injectable medications. You're putting things into a body in an unnatural way. The body goes, I don't know what to do with this crap.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what the body does is it starts storing all these chemicals over time. And, what we see and what the medical community labels as old age and all the problems that go along with it is nothing more than a buildup of all these toxins. And, if you stay clean, you eat clean, you breathe clean,
True for your animals.
Exactly. It's the same thing. I mean, when I talked about in the very beginning, 30-year-old dogs that I worked with, this was 1971, World War II veteran dogs. They were born 15 years before kibble was invented. And they had no health problems at all. And, when they passed away, when the heart finally says that's enough, they just curl up, go to sleep, and just don't wake up. There is no suffering as we see today.
Yeah, that's key for me too, because like I'd rather just not wake up tomorrow morning than that's like the easiest thing. Like, why sit there? Like, that's why I do all the things I do for my health, is because I want quality of life. And don't you want that for your pets too? Like, think about it. If you have a lower quality of life from putting all these poisons in your body, imagine how your pet's feeling, and they're not even having a choice. They're not having a choice how to eat, okay? But they will have a choice if they choose your food. So let's talk more about your food and how people can reach out to you, get the food, check out the food, and all the products and services that you have to offer.
Well, essentially, where we start, of course, like I mentioned, is clean air, clean water, clean food. And, that's a whole lifestyle that you have to put into place. We recommend, of course, a species-appropriate diet. Our dogs are carnivores. They're not omnivores like certain big dog food companies wanted us to believe. They can live short periods of time on carbohydrates, but they need that animal-based diet on our dogs, and of course even more so on our cats. Cats are very addictive, and they do use narcotics in pet foods. Of course, they use them in human food as well to get that addiction, so that you are brand loyal. But again, the species appropriate diet, raw food is always going to be better. Cooking does destroy the nutrients. Again, no matter what they say. One of my pet peeves right now are all these so-called freeze-dried foods that are on the market, or freeze-dried raw coated. Freeze drying is nothing more than freezer burning. When you used to clean out the freezer and there was freezer burn food in it, what did you do with it?
Throw it out.
Throw it out. Now they charge a premium price for that.
Unless it's eggs, then I'll eat it because they're too expensive.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's rotate. And of course, the other important thing is a rotational diet. We were talking about cereals. One of the challenges I give people all the time, if you want that are feeding just kibble, if you want to know how your dog or cat really feels, go to the supermarket, pick whatever brand you want, whatever flavor you want of cereal, and that's all you can eat for 1 week dry. The average person cannot eat the second meal. The body won't let them. And yet we force our animals to do that. So the species appropriate diet is so essential because that's got the nutrients in it that you're going to rebuild the body with. The body's a regenerative being. Basically, you have to feed those cells in order to grow new cells and keep repairing. Anybody's gone through health challenges, that you have to take a step back, look at your diet, look at what you've done wrong. And usually, most people don't want to admit it, but that's what it is. When you don't feel good, what did you do 2 days ago? What did you do 3 days ago, a week ago? It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, everybody talks about food poisoning. There's no such thing. It's all the additives that are in the foods. And, so, when I hear, oh, my dog is allergic to chicken or, it's not allergic to the chicken. It's all the chemicals that they've added to it. Even in the supermarket, foods, they do that. Almost all the chicken is run through Clorox bath. All the eggs and commercial eggs, not only do they run them through a chlorine bath to clean them, and of course the eggshell is permeable, which means the chlorine is getting into the egg. Hence, you got all these faded out yellow.
I was wondering why my tongue's always white.
Yeah. But But not only that, after they put them through that Clorox bath, they put them through radiation. And because they don't want us to get sick on any kind of pathogens, which, your dog is licking his own butt and then giving you a kiss and you haven't died yet. I mean, so that's where we start out with on the diet side. And of course, then like you say, I do a lot of herbs and botanicals because in nature, they don't drink out of Zephyr Hill bottles. They drink out of puddles. And what's in that puddle is what attracts them. You can watch a dog after a rainstorm. It'll smell 20 puddles. Not drinking because it's thirsty, but number 21, you're standing there yelling.
I don't even understand why I'm going and drinking out of puddles why people are looking at me weird.
if you've got a clean body, guess what? Your body knows what you need to drink.
See?
But, yeah, I mean, but that's just it. Our bodies have been so screwed up with all the excitotoxins, with basically that, the addictive drugs and things like that we have thousands and thousands of triggers. You could be the healthiest person in the world, but you had, Burger King or McDonald's somewhere when you were younger, and you drive past, and all of a sudden one day that smell just, oh my God, that smells so good. And
it's that pink slime. The pink slime smells great.
It because of the chemicals that they put in it. It's that's just it. I mean, if you actually look at almost all the ultra processed foods, they all have a single ingredient in there besides all the different chemicals, but are different variations and all the sugars, but natural flavor.
I knew you were going there, and that's a pet peeve of mine. That's a pipe peeve, okay? Because why does it need natural flavors if it's already natural?
You are absolutely right. It's because that product is where they can hide all the narcotics. They can hide all the preservatives, that sort of thing, because they're buying a product called natural flavors. And they don't have to list what's on there because that's their actual ingredient. And the labeling laws are all screwed up too.
I make all my food from scratch, and I've been searching every grocery store for in the spice department for natural flavoring, and I can't find it. But I do find MSG.
Yeah, yes, you can. That's an interesting thing. How did that get approved?
Because it's natural flavoring.
So for the coffee that we were talking about in the beginning, which by the way I did look it up, and it's a coffee luwak.
Yeah, it's the luwak animal. That's the animal.
The process between the animal digesting the coffee beans, would you call that a natural flavor?
Well, The
In
truth
government
is,
terms, yes.
it is known as the best coffee in the world because it's grown in poop. And okay, so listen, what's the best fertilizer for farms? Poop.
It's
Not
funny.
not
Yep.
not GMOs,
No.
poop.
Manure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, here's an interesting fact. I was listening to a podcast a few weeks ago, and they were talking about this gardening season. Getting yourself some good poop, some good compost. And in the conversation, it came up that human, cow, sheep, chicken, whatever, all fine, but never use dog or cat. And the moderator, the genius on here that was supposedly well informed on this, says, I don't understand why. And so I jumped on in the chat, obviously, not that I'm, quiet and shy sometimes, but the reason being is our dogs and cats have had so many chemical interventions from the moment that they're born and then fed such bad food that poop does not break down. You can literally go out, it's on these commercial foods. You can go out 6 months later, it's still a pile sitting in your backyard, and you can take a chipping wedge and put it all in your neighbor's yard because it'll never disintegrate. The bugs won't eat it. It does not rot.
Wouldn't that be the same for all the rest of us too? Humans, cows, sheep, whatever.
It's getting to that point, yes.
Well, not for cows, because we use the soil that is like cow manure for our plants, and the packaging on the bag says grass fed. So they even tell you that the cow that the manure comes from was grass fed.
Well, the problem with that too is grass fed is not always truthful. When you do the investigation, basically all cows are grass fed at some point in time. The defining moment though is how are they finished? If they're finished on GMO corn and soy, you're screwed. Basically, and that's what most of it is. I've heard complaints about because of course the conversation has gone from grass finished to then pasture finished because they were pelletizing grasses, which have to have a chemical process to have it stick together and everything, and in the feedlots. And so the terminology has gone to pasture finished. Some ranchers are actually going out with wagons full of GMO corn and soy and dumping it in the pasture as a treat for their cows.
Wow.
And then still labeling it as, oh yeah, our stuff is all pasture finished. It's,
as long as my cow isn't cow fed.
and that's actually where mad cow came from. You know that.
From feeding cows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'd be mad too.
Blood and bone meal from cattle. That's what caused it.
Wow. I'd be mad too. Don't feed me another human.
That's
a mad cow, not cow squared.
exactly.
Okay, got it.
All right. So now let's talk about Pet Health Cafe. Okay. Because Pet Health Cafe is a killer pet show that everybody, if you own a pet, ever owned a pet, know somebody with a pet, or think about pets, this show is for you. So tell them why it's for them, Bill. Tell them how to tune in, where to tune in, and any other information about website, podcast, all that good stuff.
Oh, of course, we've got the Pet Health Cafe website where we list, I think we'll go back as far as the archives to 2013 right now. But anyway, all of our podcasts are there. All of our radio shows are there. And basically, it's been a general information source. I think that one of the things I tried to do when putting this together is putting it together not in that heavy medical scientific thing that everybody gets bored on and, just shuts off. You've got issues with your animals. Everybody does. And I try to approach it in such a way that people can understand what I'm talking about. And of course, it's funny because I was thinking between, the podcasts and the radio shows and even my writing my magazine articles, every single week, every single month, I'm writing about you have to feed the right foods. It's all about the same message. And how many thousands of times have I done this and have to make it a little bit different so it's going to click with so many people's brains? Because people just, they've been so brainwashed on the other side. They've been so indoctrinated. Again, that white coat syndrome. I bring white coats onto my show, and some agree with us, some don't. Some of them that have even been, that I've used quite often, still don't understand the messaging, because in many cases they can't. Obviously, if you're in the medical field, you're licensed, and you've got to protect your license. And so they can't say certain things. They can't agree. Most veterinarians will not agree with raw feeding. They're all worried about the public health issue. But yet when you talk to your doctor, your MD, if you happen to have one, I haven't had one in 3 decades or more, but they don't talk to you about good eating, about clean foods, about,
they're not taught about that. That's why.
Well, the veterinarians are taught that you have to have a parasite check every time you go into the office because it's such a public health menace. No, it's just another item that they can put on your bill. And by the way, all those checks where they used to just throw a slide underneath the microscope and check for worms and parasites, now everything is utilizing that really great new tool that they have, the PCR test. The one that always has everything wrong. So now we're over medicating on top of that because of the testing. In fact, the avian flu thing, that's a biggie. That's PCR testing, and so far, they tried to actually blame some of this on raw cat food and all kinds of warnings. In fact, I got a letter from the FDA saying that, if you're a manufacturer of raw food, the best prevention for avian flu to raw food is cook it. The wisdom of our government. But it's not a problem at all. It's actually a
purely for satire. Purely.
Yes, exactly.
Always cook your sushi.
Yes, exactly.
And see, Rebel is allergic to that, what you're talking about. That's why she sneezed.
Allergic to the government thinking they know better for us, but that's
Yeah.
Purely in your opinion, for satire only.
Yes. But no, I mean, these are some of the challenges that even as a pet owner you would have. And we try to break through all that mess and, give you the truth. Nature, God, whoever that created the system, created it properly. Our bodies are designed, their bodies are designed, our pets' bodies are designed in a specific way. And the only time we really have problems with them, it's especially on like the dog area, is when they try to manipulate the breed characteristics and we create genetic nightmares.
Oh my God, you're hitting another pipe peeve. Pipe peeve.
We're not going to talk about
designer hybrids. Are you kidding me? It's not a car, man. It's a living thing. Okay, just so you can have your whatever, and it's like ridiculous already. We're mad scientists.
And a lot of them have like very poor health just from the start.
Well, of course they do. They're not real.
Yeah. Well, when I was in college and that sort of thing, and we were studying real genetics and looking at breeding cattle and sheep and stuff like that, you actually did an evaluation of your animal and tried to make it better. So if you're doing beef cattle, you want something that's got a little bit more muscling on it, so you got better steaks. And it was always to try to improve. On the dog side, oh, well, this one came out deformed. It's got a smunched in nose, so let's breed that one because I think I can make money at it. And, breed like poodles that don't shed. Of course, now we have to have everything non-shed.
Well, that's why, I had April the pug. They breed pugs with everything because of that and because of the breathing. And it's just mad science, Bill. I even saw a TikTok, maybe we'll talk about this next time, of a leopard dog.
Yeah.
A leopard dog.
And then we wonder why a visit to the vet sometimes is more expensive than a visit to the doctor.
Yeah.
And we wonder why all human beings shouldn't be put in mental hospitals after that. So in the meantime, everybody make sure to check out the Pet Health Cafe. When is it broadcast, Bill?
The live broadcast every Thursday night, 8 o'clock. And of course, it's available 24/7 on all the platforms that we have with you, including YouTube and Apple and
iHeart and Pandora and Spotify and Amazon Music and basically anywhere where podcasts are heard. You can check out the show on our sister channel, W4HC.com, the Health Cafe Live at W4HC Radio. And if you are a fur baby person, you need to tune into this show. If you're not a fur baby person, you need to tune into this show. And if you don't tune into Pet Health Cafe, you can't listen to the adventures of Pipeman anymore because we have to get off now because the show's over. So tune in tomorrow for Travel Tuesday. Tune in Wednesday for what the fuck Wednesday. And 1 p.m. Eastern Time, W4CY Radio, W4CY.com. Any final words, Bill?
Just thanks for having me on. We're trying to get the message out there, and let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going. Give your pets a voice. Give all animals a voice. And real food for pets. Do it now. Roll it, Juan.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.